The sun had barely risen over the jagged hills, painting the sky with soft shades of orange and pink. A small team of Navy SEALs crouched behind a ridge scanning the valley below. Every muscle in their bodies was tense, every sense alert. They were on a critical mission, one that required precision, patience, and trust in each other. But there was another member of the team who was even more attuned to the world around them, K9 named Titan. Titan was a large, powerful German shepherd, his sleek black hand-tan coat blending perfectly with the shadows of the early morning. His ears twitched, his nose lifted into the wind, his eyes darted toward the hills that loomed ahead. Suddenly Titan stiffened. A low, deep growl began to build in his throat, vibrating through his chest. The SEALs froze. Growls from Titan were rare. When they came, it meant something serious. Then, without warning, Titan started barking sharply, almost frantically, toward the distant hills. It was not the usual alert bark he used to signal danger close by. This bark carried urgency, purpose, and a sense of warning. The team's sniper, Sergeant Hayes, narrowed his eyes, studying the dog's behavior carefully. "What is it, Titan?" Hayes murmured, his voice calm but firm. The dog's barking grew louder, echoing off the cliffs. The other SEALs exchanged uneasy glances. They had been trained to respond to countless scenarios, but this was unusual. The hills in front of them were rough, filled with sharp rocks, hidden trails, in the kind of terrain where anything could be concealed. A single misstep could turn a simple reconnaissance mission into a deadly situation. Private Jensen, the youngest member of the team, whispered, "Sir, maybe it's just an animal. A wild goat, maybe?" But Sergeant Hayes shook his head slowly. "No," he said, keeping his voice low. "Titan isn't barking at a goat. Watch him. Study his body language. He's tracking something we can't see yet." Titan's body was rigid, his tail stiff, and his nose pointed toward a specific spot in the hills. His growls were mixed with sharp, repeated barks, almost as if he were trying to communicate something urgent. Hayes had worked with K9 South for years, and he knew the difference between a dog alerting to a simple animal and one sensing human activity. Titan's instincts were honed to perfection. He could smell, hear, and sense things that humans could not. The team stayed silent, holding their positions and watching. Every minute stretched like an eternity. The wind carried subtle scents, the faint rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, but Hayes ignored those. He was focused entirely on Titan. The dog's ears twitched repeatedly. His paws dug lightly into the ground as if he was trying to anchor himself against an invisible pull. It was then that Hayes realized Titan was on a mission of his own, a mission that could determine the success or failure of their entire operation. "Follow his nose," Hayes said suddenly, his voice steady but commanding. The words were simple, yet they carried the weight of authority and trust. It was an unusual order, one that relied entirely on the judgment of a dog. The other SEALs hesitated for a moment. Following a dog into unknown terrain could be risky. But they had learned long ago to trust Hayes' instincts and Titan's. Without another word, the team adjusted their positions and began moving quietly. Letting Titan lead the way, the path ahead was steep and narrow. Jagged rocks jutted out from the hillsides and the wind carried loose soil and dust into their eyes. Titan moved with careful confidence, his paws sure-footed on the uneven ground. Every so often he would stop, sniff the air, and glance back at the team, almost as if checking that they were following. The SEALs were silent, communicating only with subtle hand signals. Their weapons were ready, their senses sharp, and their minds fully alert. As they climbed higher, the tension grew. Each step was a reminder that they were entering unknown territory. They had no idea what lay ahead, whether it was an enemy patrol, a hidden trap, or simply more rough terrain. But Titan moved steadily, his focus unwavering. Hayes couldn't help but admire the dog's discipline and intelligence. He had trained with Titan for months, building a bond that went beyond words. They understood each other instinctively, connection forged in countless hours of training and shared experiences. The team passed through a narrow gorge, where sunlight barely reached the ground. The air was thick with the scent of earth and stone. Titan paused suddenly, his body tense, ears erect, and nose twitching. He sniffed the air again, then let out a low, urgent bark. Hayes motioned for the team to stop. He crept forward slightly, peering over a large boulder. There, in the distance, he noticed something of faint movement among the rocks. At first it was barely visible, almost like a shadow shifting. But Hayes' sharp eyes caught it immediately. Someone or something was there. "Hold position," Hayes whispered. "Stay calm. Let Titan lead." The team obeyed, crouching low and blending with the terrain. Titan's barking softened into a series of quick, sharp yips, each one signaling that they were close. Hayes felt a surge of respect for the dog. This was more than training. It was instinct, courage, and intelligence all combined in a single loyal companion. The minutes dragged on. The team moved slowly, each step deliberate. Titan led them along hidden paths that seemed almost invisible to human eyes. Broken branches, disturbed soil, and faint tracks marked the way. The hills were unforgiving, but Titan navigated them effortlessly. Hayes watched the dog closely, noting every movement, every pause, every glance. Titan was not just following a scent. He was interpreting it, analyzing it, guiding the team with precision that no human could match. Finally, after what felt like hours, Titan stopped abruptly at the edge of a small cliff. He barked and growled simultaneously, signaling that something was nearby. Hayes signaled for the team to hold. He scanned the area carefully, looking for any signs of danger. His heart pounded not out of fear, but from anticipation. Titan had led them to a critical point, and now it was up to Hayes and the team to assess the situation. He knelt beside Titan, placing a hand on the dog's strong back. "Good job, boy," he whispered. Titan wagged his tail slightly, but his focus never wavered. Hayes looked at the team. "We follow him from here. Stay sharp. Eyes open, ears open. Trust Titan." The team nodded, knowing that every step forward required courage, patience, complete trust in their canine partner. The hills seemed alive with tension. The sun rose higher, casting long shadows across the rocks and valleys. Every sound, the rustle of leaves, the distant call of a bird, even the whisper of the wind felt amplified. Titan moved carefully, his nose to the ground, his tail high, guiding the team toward an unseen destination. Hayes followed, his mind sharp and focused, ready for anything. The bond between man and dog was on full display. It was trust in its purest form, the kind that could mean the difference between success and failure, life and danger. As they continued, Hayes couldn't help but reflect on how far they had come together. Titan had been more than a canine partner. He had been a friend, a protector, and a guide. In moments like this, Hayes understood why so many seals trusted their dogs implicitly. They had instincts that humans could only hope to understand, senses that could detect danger long before it became visible. And right now, those instincts were guiding the team into the unknown, toward something that could change the course of their mission. Titan barked again, this time with a mixture of urgency and purpose. Hayes motioned for the team to move forward, each seal following the dog's lead with caution. The air was thick with anticipation. Every step brought them closer to the unknown. Every movement required precision. The hills around them seemed endless, a maze of rocks, shadows, and hidden paths. But Titan pressed on, fearless, determined, and unwavering. Hayes felt a surge of confidence. He knew that as long as they trusted Titan, they had a chance to succeed. The dog was more than an animal. He was a soldier in his own right, a partner whose instincts could save lives. And right now, those instincts were their greatest advantage. The team moved as one, silent and careful, following Titan's lead. The hills held their secrets tightly, but Hayes and his team were ready to uncover them step by step, guided by the keen nose and sharp mind of their loyal canine companion. The hills seemed endless, stretching out like a wild, untamed landscape. The SEAL team moved cautiously, each step deliberate, following Titan as he led them along hidden trails only he could sense. The dog's nose twitched constantly, sniffing the air and the ground, picking up scents invisible to human eyes. Sergeant Hayes stayed close, watching both Titan and the surrounding terrain. He knew that any sudden movement could mean danger, yet he also knew that Titan's instincts were precise. The dog would not lead them astray. Private Jensen, still young and new to missions of this kind, whispered to his teammate, "Do you think there's really someone out here?" His voice was barely audible over the wind. Corporal Reyes, more experienced and calm, replied quietly, "If Titan is this alert, there's a reason. Dogs like him don't bark at nothing." Jensen nodded, though a shiver ran down his spine. The hills were beautiful in the soft morning light, but there was an undeniable sense of tension in the air. Every shadow seemed alive. Every rustle of leaves a possible warning. Titan moved ahead with determination, sometimes pausing to sniff more carefully, sometimes darting forward with sudden urgency. The terrain grew steeper, forcing the team to climb over loose rocks and navigate narrow ledges. Hayes led from just behind Titan, ensuring that the dog had space to move, but that the team stayed protected. They were silent, moving like shadows, careful not to disturb anything more than necessary. The sound of Titan's paws on rocks and dirt is the only real noise in the stillness of the hills. After about 20 minutes of careful movement, Titan suddenly stopped. His body went rigid, and his tail raised high. A low growl built in his throat, vibrating through the air. Hayes motioned for the team to halt. He crouched low, scanning the area in front of them. At first, nothing seemed out of place. Just rocks, scrub, and the occasional clump of grass. But Titan's behavior was clear. Something or someone was close. Hayes signaled for Jensen and Reyes to stay back while he crept forward slightly. Moving as silently as possible, Titan barked sharply, then darted toward a cluster of rocks. Hayes followed quickly, eyes scanning every crevice. As they approached, the dog paused and sniffed the ground intensely. Then he barked again, a series of quick, sharp yips, urging Hayes to continue. Hayes felt a thrill of anticipation. Titan had picked up a trail, and now it was leading them straight to it. The seal knew that this was a critical moment. Hesitation could allow the unknown presence to escape or set a trap. The team moved forward cautiously, every step calculated. They crossed a small ridge, and suddenly, through a narrow gap between rocks, they saw a faint movement in a shallow hollow. Hayes raised a finger, signaling for the team to halt. There, partially hidden by the natural shadows, were signs of recent human activity. Disturbed soil, footprints, and scraps of cloth indicated that someone had been here not long ago. Titan barked again, almost impatiently. As if insisting that Hayes investigate further, Hayes motioned for Jensen to cover the rear while Reyes kept watch on the surrounding area. He crept closer to the hollow, taking care to stay low and silent. The closer he got, the more obvious the signs became. Small items scattered across the ground, a discarded water bottle, piece of torn fabric, and a set of maps syndicated that this spot had been used as a temporary observation post. It was subtle, almost invisible, unless you were trained to notice details. But Hayes' experience allowed him to recognize its significance immediately. Titan circled the hollow slowly, sniffing each item carefully, his movements deliberate and focused. Hayes knelt, examining the area with his binoculars. The map showed terrain features, likely the routes that someone was planning to monitor or move through. It was clear that the hillside was being used strategically, not just as a hiding spot, but as a lookout or supply point. The SEAL team exchanged glances, understanding the importance of the discovery. Without Titan, they might have missed it entirely. Hayes took a deep breath and signaled the team to approach cautiously. Titan led the way, sniffing every corner, checking for any signs of danger. The team followed closely, aware that the hollow could contain more than just supplies. It could also be a trap. As they entered, they noticed faint signs of footprints leading deeper into the rocks, suggesting that the area might have been recently vacated. Yet the items left behind were enough to reveal valuable intelligence. Reyes carefully documented everything while Hayes kept an eye on the surrounding hills. Titan remained alert, ears perked, tail stiff, and nose twitching constantly. Every now and then, the dog would bark softly, alerting the team to a subtle change in the environment, a shift in the wind, a scent of another person, or a movement among the rocks. Hayes knew that Titan's instincts were more accurate than any sensor or device they could carry. The dog's senses were finely tuned instruments, capable of detecting what humans could not. The seals began collecting the items, carefully packing them into their bags. Maps, communication equipment, and a few personal effects would provide critical intelligence for planning future missions. Titan watched every movement, never straying from the perimeter. Hayes glanced at him, silently acknowledging the dog's vigilance. Titan's presence brought both security and guidance, a reassurance that no matter what lay ahead, they were not alone in the unknown hills. Time seemed to slow as they worked. The sun climbed higher, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. The hills, once quiet and serene, now felt alive with tension. Every noise, every rustle of leaves, every distant bird call seemed amplified. Yet Titan moved with calm determination, his focus unbroken. Hayes felt a surge of pride and respect for the dog. This was more than training or obedience, it was intelligence. Courage and instinct combined into one loyal companion. As they prepared to leave the hollow, Titan gave a low, approving bark. Hayes nodded, understanding the signal. The area had been secured, and their mission in this part of the hills was complete. But the dog's behavior suggested that there could still be more to discover. Hayes signaled the team to move carefully along the next ridge, following Titan's lead. The seals obeyed, their confidence in the dog absolute. The descent from the hollow was tricky. Loose rocks threatened to slip underfoot, and the steep inclines demanded careful navigation. Titan moved ahead with ease, guiding them along the safest paths. Hayes stayed close, ensuring the team followed in formation. Every now and then, Titan would stop, sniff the air and glance back, almost as if checking that the seals were keeping pace. The bond between man and dog was evident, built on trust, experience, and countless missions shared together. Finally, after hours of cautious movement, the team reached a small plateau overlooking the valley below. Titan barked once, sharply, then sat, his job for the moment complete. Hayes looked out over the landscape, taking in the view. The hills stretched endlessly, but thanks to Titan, they had uncovered something significant of evidence of human activity that could influence their mission. The seals felt a mix of relief and admiration. The dog had done what humans alone might not have been able to accomplish. Hayes crouched beside Titan, scratching behind his ears. "Good work, boy," he said softly. Titan leaned into the touch, ears twitching, but alert. The SEAL team took a moment to rest, hydrate, and gather their bearings. The mission was far from over, but for now, they had accomplished an important task thanks to the keen instincts of a single loyal canine. The sun climbed higher, warmth filling the air, yet the tension lingered. The hills were beautiful, but Hayes knew that beauty often concealed danger. He glanced at Titan, who seemed to sense his thoughts, and felt a wave of reassurance. The dog's confidence, intelligence, and loyalty were unmatched. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, as a team. The day was only beginning, and the hills still held secrets. But with Titan leading the way, the SEALs felt ready to uncover them. Step by step, scent by scent, following a path that only the dog could sense. Hayes knew that their bond, forged in countless hours of training and shared missions, was their greatest strength. And as they prepared to continue, the SEALs silently acknowledged that the instincts of a dog could sometimes surpass the experience of even the most skilled soldiers. The hills were quiet, almost too quiet, as the SEAL team advanced slowly behind Titan. Every step felt heavier than the last. Weighed down by the tension that seemed to hang in the air like a thick fog. The dog's nose was to the ground, sniffing intently, and every so often he would lift his head, ears pricked, glancing toward the distant ridges as if listening for something the humans could not hear. Sergeant Hayes followed closely, his eyes scanning every shadow, every movement, and every shift in the terrain. He trusted Titan completely. The dog had never led them wrong. Private Jensen, still shaken from the earlier discovery, whispered to Corporal Reyes, "Do Do you think there's someone else out here? Could they be watching us? Reyes glanced at him, calm and measured. Maybe, but if there is, Titan will let us know. That's why we follow him. Jensen nodded, though his heart raced. The hills were steep, jagged, and unpredictable. One misstep could send them sliding down the rocky slopes, and one wrong move could give away their position. Yet they trusted Titan, their sharp-eyed, quick-footed canine partner, more than anything else in that vast wilderness. Titan stopped, suddenly on a narrow ledge. His body stiff, tail raised, and low growl vibrating in his chest. Hayes motioned for the team to halt. He signaled Jensen to take a closer look at the path ahead, but the young seal hesitated. Nervous about moving closer to whatever had caught Titan's attention, Hayes motioned again, pointing toward the rocky hollow just ahead. Careful. Titan senses something. Stay sharp. Jensen swallowed hard and moved forward slowly, eyes scanning the rocks. Every shadow seemed alive. Every rustle amplified in the stillness of the hills. Titan began to move again, leading them down a hidden trail barely wide enough for a single person. Loose rocks crunched softly underfoot as the team followed silently. The sun was higher now, casting long, shifting shadows that seemed to dance across the terrain. Titan stopped occasionally, sniffed the ground, and barked softly, guiding them like a skilled scout. Hayes felt a mixture of excitement and caution. He knew that the dog was leading them to something important, something humans might never have found on their own, after what felt like hours of careful tracking. Titan suddenly froze at the edge of a shallow depression in the hillside. His growl was low but intense, vibrating through the air. Hayes motioned for the team to stop. He crouched beside the dog, studying the area through his binoculars. At first glance, it seemed like nothing more than a rocky hollow with a few scraggly bushes. But Titan's behavior was impossible to ignore. The dog's attention was fixed, his nose twitching furiously, and his ears pricked toward the shadows within the hollow. Hayes signaled for the team to spread out slightly, maintaining cover while keeping Titan at the center. Titan moved cautiously, sniffing and circling the hollow, and then barked sharply, a rapid, repeated sound that signaled the team to approach. Hayes led the way, moving low and quiet, weapon at the ready. The team followed carefully, aware that any sudden movement could alert whoever or whatever was inside the hollow. Every rustle of leaves, every shift of wind, felt magnified in the tense stillness. As they neared the hollow, subtle signs of human presence became clearer. Broken branches, trampled grass, and faint footprints in the dirt indicated that someone had been there recently. Hayes motioned for the team to pause, examining the area closely. He noticed small items scattered near the edges of the hollow, a water bottle, a piece of torn cloth, and what appeared to be remnants of a small pack. Titan barked again, impatiently urging the team to continue forward. Hayes nodded, signaling Reyes and Jensen to move cautiously behind him. Inside the hollow, the seals found more evidence of activity. Small crates and bags were tucked against the rocks, some partially hidden by the natural terrain. Maps and documents, left carelessly or in haste, revealed that the area had been used as an observation point. Hayes carefully picked up one of the maps, studying it under the rising sun. The markings indicated possible routes, vantage points, and locations of interest. It was clear that this hillside had been strategically chosen, likely as a temporary hideout or supply cache. Titan moved around the perimeter, sniffing each corner, ears twitching at every sound. Hayes admired the dog's focus. Titan was more than a companion. He was a guide, a protector, and an essential part of the team. The dog's instincts were unmatched, capable of detecting danger long before humans could. Every bark, every growl, every twitch of the nose signaled something crucial to the seals. Hayes silently acknowledged that without Titan, he might have missed this entirely. Reyes carefully documented everything, taking notes and photos of the items in the hollow. Jensen, still tense, but learning quickly, followed the dog's lead, watching Titan and Hayes closely. The team worked efficiently, aware that lingering too long could be risky. Titan's presence provided reassurance, yet Hayes knew that the hills could conceal unseen dangers. The seals moved with purpose, aware that every second counted. After securing the hollow, Titan barked once, signaling that there was more to explore. Hayes motioned for the team to follow him along a narrow ridge leading deeper into the hills. The terrain grew steeper, with loose rocks and jagged edges forcing the team to move slowly and carefully. Titan moved confidently, guiding them along hidden paths and natural cover. Every step forward revealed new signs of activity, subtle clues that only a trained dog could notice and interpret. As they advanced, Titan stopped abruptly, growling low and deep. Hayes signaled the team to hold position and crept forward slightly. Through a narrow gap between rocks, he noticed faint movement, just a shadow at first, but unmistakably human. His heart raced, but he stayed calm, motioning for the team to remain silent. Titan barked again, sharp and urgent, alerting the seals that they were close. Hayes gestured for Reyes to flank the left, while Jensen covered the rear. The dog's instincts were guiding them straight to a critical discovery. The shadow shifted, and Hayes could see part of a figure crouched among the rocks. Titan barked rapidly, a combination of excitement and alert, urging the team forward. Hayes signaled to approach slowly, every movement measured and deliberate. The seals advanced, following Titan's lead, aware that the moment of discovery was near. Each step was filled with tension, every rustle of rock or brush a potential threat. Yet Titan moved with unwavering focus. Undeterred by the unknown dangers ahead, as they neared the figure, it became clear that this was not an enemy ambush, but a small group using the hillside strategically. Evidence suggested they had been observing the area, planning movements or monitoring activity below. Titan sniffed and circled them, barking occasionally to mark the presence. Hayes studied the scene, understanding the importance of the discovery. It was rare to find a sight like this, carefully concealed, yet revealing valuable intelligence. The seals felt a mix of relief and pride, that they had not walked into a trap, and pride in Titan's unmatched instincts. Hayes signaled the team to secure the area and document everything carefully. Titan remained alert, ears pricked and tail high, as if overseeing their work. The maps, equipment, and personal items provided crucial insight into the hillside's use. Hayes knew that this intelligence would be vital for planning future missions. Titan's role had been indispensable. Without the dog's guidance, the team might never have discovered the hidden site. Hours passed as they worked, moving carefully through the hills, documenting and securing the area. Titan never wavered, leading the way, alerting them to subtle signs humans might have missed. The sun climbed higher, and the heat began to press down on the team, but their focus remained sharp. Every discovery, every piece of evidence, reinforced the bond between man and dog. Hayes silently acknowledged that Titan's instincts, courage, and loyalty had changed the course of the mission. Finally, after ensuring the area was secure and no immediate threats remained, Titan barked softly, signaling that their work here was complete. Hayes nodded, understanding the signal. They had uncovered a hidden site, gained valuable intelligence, and moved safely through dangerous terrain, all guided by a single, remarkable canine. The seals felt a renewed sense of respect for their dog, whose instincts had proven more reliable than any sensor device or human intuition alone. The team paused to rest briefly, hydrating and catching their breath. Titan sat nearby, alert but calm, ears twitching at every sound. Hayes scratched behind the dog's ears, whispering words of praise. "Good work, boy. You've earned it." Titan leaned into the touch, tail wagging slightly, but eyes never leaving the hills. Hayes knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, Titan would be ready, guiding them with instincts that no human could replicate. The hills still held secrets. But for now, the SEAL team had achieved a major breakthrough. They would continue their mission deeper into the rugged landscape, but with Titan leading the way, they felt confident. The bond between man and dog had proven stronger than ever, a partnership built on trust, experience, and mutual respect. As they prepared to move forward, Hayes glanced at Titan and the team, knowing that together, they could face whatever the hills might conceal next. The team moved slowly, following Titan, as he led them along a narrow ridge that overlooked the valley below. The dog's movements were precise, his nose twitching as he caught scents the human senses could never detect. Sergeant Hayes stayed close, watching both the dog and the rugged terrain. Every step was careful, deliberate, because the hills were unforgiving, full of loose rocks, hidden dips, and sharp edges. One wrong move could send a man tumbling down a slope, and Hayes knew it. Yet Titan moved with complete confidence, guiding them safely through paths only he could sense. Private Jensen, still nervous from the earlier discoveries, whispered to Corporal Reyes, "Do you think there's more out here? Could they be waiting for us?" Reyes kept his voice low and calm. "Maybe, but Titan would know. If there's danger, he'll tell us." Jensen nodded, trying to steady his breathing. The air was crisp and still, yet full of tension, as though the hills themselves were holding their secrets tightly. Titan sniffed and circled, growling lowly at a spot ahead. Hayes knew this was a pivotal moment. The dog had led them to something important. The team needed to be ready for anything. Titan stopped suddenly at the edge of a small depression hidden among jagged rocks. His growl was low but insistent, vibrating through the air. Hayes signaled the team to freeze. He moved forward cautiously, peering through a natural gap in the rocks. At first it appeared to be just a shadow, but as his eyes adjusted, he saw a movement faint, deliberate, and human. The SEAL team crouched behind cover, weapons ready, hearts racing with anticipation. Titan barked sharply, alerting them that they had found what he had been tracking. Hayes motioned to the team to approach slowly, hand signals precise and silent. The terrain was tricky. One misstep could reveal them or cause injury. Titan led the way, moving with confidence, ears twitching, nose low to the ground. Every so often, he would stop and sniff, then glance back to ensure the team was following. The SEALs followed cautiously, understanding that Titan's instincts were the key to navigating this treacherous hillside safely as they moved closer. Subtle signs of human activity became clearer. Broken branches, trampled soil, and faint footprints marked a path deeper into the rocks. Hayes signaled for Jensen to cover the rear and Reyes to scan the higher ground for any potential threats. Titan's low growl intensified, and he darted forward, leading them into a small hollow nestled between two jagged outcrops. Inside, they found signs of recent occupation's maul bags, supplies, and scattered personal items. It was obvious that someone had been using this spot as a temporary observation post. Hayes knelt, studying the area. Maps lay open, marked with terrain features and possible routes. Communication devices were partially concealed under rocks, and the faint smell of smoke suggested recent activity. It was a critical discovery, revealing that the hills were being monitored strategically. Titan sniffed and circled the perimeter, ears alert to any sound, tail stiff, as if ensuring the team's safety. Hayes admired the dog's focus. Titan had an uncanny ability to sense things humans would never notice. Reyes carefully documented the items, taking notes and photographing every piece of evidence. Jensen, still tense, but learning quickly, watched Titan closely, absorbing the dog's movements and behavior. The SEALs worked methodically, aware that lingering too long could be dangerous. Titan remained at the center, guiding them and alerting them to subtle changes in the environment. Every bark, growl, and shift of his stance conveyed important information. Hayes silently acknowledged that without Titan, they might never have discovered this hidden site. The team began to explore further, following Titan along a narrow path that led deeper into the rocky hills. Loose stones threatened to slip underfoot, and the incline became steeper. Titan moved ahead confidently, guiding them along safer routes, sometimes pausing to sniff and circle, sometimes barking sharply to signal a point of interest. The SEALs moved in formation, trusting the dog completely. Knowing that his instincts were more reliable than any human judgment in these conditions, after a tense climb, Titan stopped suddenly at the edge of a hidden crevice. His growl was low, almost warning-like, and he barked sharply in short bursts. Hayes motioned for the team to hold. He peered through the narrow opening and saw movement-faint shadows shifting behind rocks. The area was carefully concealed, almost invisible unless one was looking closely. It was clear that someone had chosen this spot intentionally, likely for surveillance or to hide supplies. Titan barked again, impatiently urging Hayes to continue forward. Hayes signaled for Reyes to flank the left while Jensen covered the rear. The dog led the way, sniffing the ground and scanning the area with precision. Every step forward was calculated, every pause deliberate. The team advanced slowly, aware that the hidden crevice could contain danger or valuable intelligence, or both. Titan's instincts were guiding them into an area that human senses alone could not have revealed. Hayes felt a surge of admiration for the dog. Titan was not just a partner, but an essential member of the team. Inside the crevice, the SEALs found evidence of more extensive human activity. Small caches of supplies, documents, and equipment indicated that the area had been used for planning and observation. Maps marked with potential routes and key locations suggested careful preparation. Hayes carefully examined the site, noting every detail. Titan moved around the perimeter, alert and vigilant, his growls softening only when the area appeared secure. The dog's instincts had led them to a critical discovery that could impact the mission significantly. The sun was high now, casting long shadows across the rocks and valley below. The SEALs paused briefly to rest and hydrate, taking in the scale of the hills and the importance of what they had uncovered. Titan sat nearby, alert but calm, ears twitching as he monitored the surroundings. Hayes knelt beside him, scratching behind his ears. "Good job, boy," he said quietly. Titan leaned into the touch, tail wagging slightly, yet his eyes never left the rocky hillside. As they prepared to leave, Hayes signaled the team to carefully secure the area. Every item, every document, every piece of equipment was gathered methodically, ensuring that nothing was left behind. Titan continued to patrol the perimeter, ears and nose alert, guiding the team as they retraced their steps along the narrow paths. The hills were unforgiving, and Hayes knew that the return journey required the same caution as their approach. One slip could compromise everything. But Titan's guidance made the path safer and more predictable. The team moved cautiously down the ridge, Titan leading the way. Every so often, the dog would stop, sniff the air, and glance back, ensuring that the SEALs were following. Hayes reflected on how critical the dog's instincts had been. Titan had not only located the hidden crevice, but had guided them through treacherous terrain, avoided potential dangers, and helped secure important intelligence. The bond between handler and dog had never been more evident. As they descended, the team noticed additional subtle signs that the area might still be in use. Fresh tracks, disturbed soil, and faint debris suggested that someone had returned or was nearby. Titan's growls became a warning signal, alerting the SEALs to potential movement. Hayes adjusted the team's formation, keeping everyone close and covered, ready for any encounter. The hills were beautiful, but they were also full of hidden threats. Titan's alertness provided a sense of security and confidence as they moved carefully through the landscape. Finally, after a tense and careful descent, the SEALs reached a plateau overlooking the valley below. Titan barked once, a signal that their work in this part of the hills was complete. Hayes nodded, signaling the team to take a brief rest. They hydrated, regrouped, and reviewed the intelligence they had gathered. Titan remained at the center, alert and watchful, ears twitching at every sound. Hayes knew that the dog's instincts had been the key to the mission's success so far. Without Titan, it might have missed the hidden crevice and the valuable intelligence it contained. The team paused for a moment, taking in the view. The hills stretched endlessly, but Titan's sharp instincts had guided them through dangerous terrain and led them to critical discoveries. Hayes scratched behind the dog's ears again, praising him quietly. "You've done more than anyone could ask. Titan, we owe this to you." Titan leaned into the touch, tail wagging slightly, eyes alert. Ready for the next step of the mission? The sun continued to rise, casting a golden light across the jagged landscape. The SEAL team prepared to continue their mission deeper into the hills, knowing that Titan's instincts would guide them safely. Every discovery so far had reinforced the team's trust in the dog. The bond between man and canine partner was strong, built on trust, experience, and countless shared missions. Hayes knew that, with Titan leading the way, they could face whatever challenges the hills might hold. With renewed focus, The team adjusted their positions and prepared to move forward. Titan sniffed the air, then barked softly, signaling the next path. Hayes signaled to the team and they advanced, carefully following the dog into the unknown. The hills were vast and full of hidden dangers, but with Titan guiding them, they felt confident. Every step, every sniff, every bark was a reminder of the dog's unparalleled instincts and loyalty. And as they moved further into the rugged landscape, the seals understood that the hills stretched endlessly ahead, rugged and full of hidden valleys, shadows, and trails that seemed to twist and turn endlessly. Titan, the loyal German shepherd, led the SEAL team carefully, his nose low to the ground, sniffing every scent.
Listening to every whisper of the wind.
Sergeant Hayes followed closely, eyes sharp, scanning every movement in the rocky landscape. The earlier discoveries had given them valuable intelligence. But Hayes knew this part of the mission could hold the most significant challenge yet. Titan's behavior suggested that something important was just ahead. Private Jensen, still feeling the adrenaline of the previous encounters, whispered nervously to Corporal Reyes, "Do you really think we're going to find what Titan is tracking?" Reyes gave a quiet, reassuring nod. "If Titan's this focused, there's a reason. Trust him. That's what we've been doing all along." Jensen tried to steady his breathing and match Reyes' calm demeanor. The air was crisp and still, the kind that carried every scent and sound far across the hills. Titan's alert stance and low, steady growl reminded the SEALs that the environment could conceal danger or opportunity or both as they advanced. Titan suddenly stopped at the edge of a narrow ridge. His body went rigid, tail stiff, ears perked, and low growl vibrating through his chest. Hayes held up a hand, signaling the team to halt. Through the gap in the rocks, he could see a hidden crevice below. It was partially concealed by jagged rocks, a perfect spot for anyone to hide or observe without being noticed. Titan barked sharply, a repeated, urgent signal that there was something significant inside. Hayes motioned for the team to move forward cautiously. The descent into the crevice was tricky. Loose stones shifted underfoot, and narrow ledges demanded careful navigation. Titan moved first, sure-footed and confident, sniffing the air and scanning every corner. Hayes and the team followed closely, each step deliberate. The silence of the hills was intense, broken only by the occasional bark or sniff from Titan and the soft crunch of their boots on rocks and soil. Every instinct was alert, every sense focused on what lay ahead. Inside the hidden crevice, the SEALs found the culmination of their journey. There, concealed from casual view, was a small encampment. Evidence of human presence was everywhere, supplies neatly arranged, maps with strategic routes, personal items left behind, likely in haste. Titan's nose twitched as he moved along the perimeter, sniffing carefully. Hayes watched the dog's every movement, understanding that Titan was not only guiding them, but also assessing the safety of the area. The team moved methodically, documenting the site. Reyes photographed maps and equipment, while Jensen carefully noted footprints and traces of recent activity. Titan remained vigilant, ears twitching, growls low but steady, reflected on how remarkable the dog's instincts were. Had led them safely through dangerous terrain, uncovered hidden sites, and ensured that the SEAL team remained undetected. The dog's keen senses had revealed what humans alone might never have discovered as they explored the encampment. They realized the intelligence here could significantly impact their mission. Maps indicated movement routes and observation points. That would have allowed anyone hiding in the hills to monitor surrounding areas without being seen. Communication devices were partially operational, and the arrangement of supplies suggested careful planning. Hayes knew that discovering this site would provide invaluable insight into the strategic use of the hills and the people who had occupied them. Titan barked softly, alerting them to a final, hidden section of the encampment. Hayes approached cautiously, signaling the team to follow. Behind a cluster of rocks, partially concealed by shadows, they found the most critical evidence yet detailed. Plans marked with precise notes about terrain, positions, and movements. It was clear that the site had been used for observation, planning, and possibly coordination with forces beyond the hills. Titan's nose had led them to the very heart of the operation. Hayes could feel the weight of the discovery. This was the moment that could define the success of their mission. Carefully, the SEALs secured the area. Every document, map, and device was packed methodically, ensuring nothing was left behind. Titan moved around the perimeter, sniffing and alerting the team to any subtle signs of movement. Hayes couldn't help but marvel at the dog's instincts. Titan had not only guided them, but had protected them through every step of the journey. The hills, with their jagged cliffs and hidden valleys, had been navigated safely thanks to the dog's intelligence and unwavering focus. The team paused, briefly to rest and review the intelligence they had gathered. The sun was high, casting golden light across the rugged landscape. Titan sat nearby, alert but calm, tail stiff, eyes scanning the hills. Hayes knelt beside him, scratching behind his ears. "Good work, boy," he whispered softly. Titan leaned into the touch, ears twitching, eyes never leaving the surrounding terrain. The dog had led them through treacherous paths, uncovered hidden sites, and provided guidance that no human skill alone could replicate. As they prepared to leave the crevice, Hayes signaled for the team to move carefully back along the ridge. Titan led the way, sniffing and scanning every corner. Loose rocks shifted underfoot, but the dog's sure-footed steps guided the SEALs safely. Every bark, every growl, every pause was a signal, a reminder that the journey through these hills required patience, focus, and trust in the dog's instincts. Hayes felt a surge of confidence. Titan lending, they could face any challenge that remained in the hills. During the descent, Titan suddenly paused, ears pricked and tail stiff. Hayes motioned for the team to stop and scan the area. A faint movement in the distance caught his eye, likely a small patrol returning to the area or someone investigating the hidden site. Titan barked sharply, a warning to the team. Hayes signaled for everyone to take cover behind rocks and shadows. The SEALs crouched low, weapons ready, hearts pounding with tension. Titan remained at the front, alert, assessing the threat, and signaling Hayes when the path was clear. After several tense minutes, the area appeared safe. Titan led the team along an alternate route down the hills, avoiding the possible patrol entirely. Hayes marveled at the dog's ability to read the environment, anticipate danger, and guide the team safely. Every step reinforced the value of their bond. Titan's instincts had not only uncovered critical intelligence, but had ensured the safety of every member of the SEAL team. The mission, which could have been perilous, had been transformed into a successful operation thanks to the dog's guidance. By late afternoon, the team reached a secure plateau, overlooking the valley below. Titan barked once, signaling that the immediate danger had passed. Hayes signaled the team to rest and regroup. The SEALs took a moment to hydrate, reflect, and review the intelligence collected. Maps, devices, and documents were carefully organized and packed. Titan remained at the center, alert but calm, his role as guide and protector complete for the moment. Hayes looked at the dog with deep respect. "Couldn't have done it without you, Titan," Hayes said quietly. The dog leaned into the touch, eyes bright and alert, as if acknowledging the praise. The SEAL team gathered around, sharing a quiet moment of relief and pride. They had successfully navigated treacherous hills, uncovered hidden sites, and collected intelligence that would be critical for future operations. And through it all, Titan had been the guide, protector, and partner they relied on entirely. The hills stretched into the distance, rugged, beautiful, and still full of secrets. But the SEAL team felt a sense of accomplishment and security. Titan's instincts had led them safely, uncovered critical information, and protected them from unseen dangers. Hayes reflected on the bond between man and dog, the trust, the understanding, and the loyalty that went beyond words. This mission had proven that a canine partner could be as vital as any human teammate, capable of sensing, guiding, and protecting in ways that no technology could match. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the hills, the SEAL team prepared to leave the area. Titan led the way one final time, moving confidently along a safe path down the hillside. Hayes and the team followed, reflecting on the extraordinary journey. The hills had tested their skills, patience, and courage, but with Titan guiding them, they had succeeded. Every discovery, every moment of tension, and every step through the rugged terrain had been made possible by the dog's keen instincts and unwavering loyalty. By the time they reached a secure extraction point, the team was exhausted but triumphant. Titan sat beside Hayes, ears twitching, eyes bright, tail high. The SEALs packed the gathered intelligence and prepared for extraction, each member silently acknowledging the dog's vital role in the mission. Hayes scratched behind Titan's ears one final time before boarding. "You've earned this, boy. Couldn't have done it without you," he whispered. Titan leaned into the touch, tail wagging slightly, eyes still alert, ready for whatever came next. The mission had been a success. The hills held their secrets, but the SEAL team had uncovered the critical intelligence needed. All thanks to a single, remarkable canine companion. Titan's instincts had guided them safely, revealed hidden threats, and ensured the success of their operation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, the team knew that this mission would be remembered.